I have prepared another slideshow yet again. Of course I do. We gotta yap about Crowley. I brought out the pointer again. My silly pointer. Wait, hold on. Let me see if I can find something. Are we still getting ready? I think I have a gif of Crowley. I have a folder specifically of Twisted Wonderland gifts. I forget where it is, but I have it. Hello! We getting ready. Getting ready to yap about Crowley. I am ready. Sort of. I need to find a funny thing. I know it's here. I have an entire folder of silly gifts. There he is. There he is. There he is. What happened? I turned on something. Anyway, there's Crowley. Boo. Ta-da! We will be yelling about Crowley again. I have questions. I have questions and thoughts and things of that nature. And that will be what we are discussing today. And I brought out the pointer gun again. Indeed, Crowley. Hold on, let me add him here. Let me add it here. There he is. He's just gonna be up here now. He's corner. We have Crowley judging at the bottom corner, and Crowley sneaking up on the top. Truly an interesting time, indeed. If only you had a mask, what Crowley does. Like what Crowley does for your model. That would be fun. Actually, I think I can get his model. It's just I would have to do a lot of editing on it or something. Because that's like, I think, a solid piece of space. Sort of. So, I have seen Crowley without the mask on, and it's kind of funny looking because there is nothing under there. Like, they don't want you to know what he looks like. Which is also something that is relevant to the discussion. I should have wrote that down too. Like, are we gonna get his face? Are we gonna get that Crowley face reveal? Let me lower that music. Anyways, I think we should start out with a little bit of a refresher. And yes, I made PowerPoint slides. They're kind of blocked, but who cares? The previous two chapters, 7 and 7.5, are basically just Malleus tried to put everybody to sleep because he didn't want Lilia to leave. And then 7.5 was like the aftermath of all that. So yeah, that happened. Malleus is just like, no, Lilia, please. Don't leave us. We love you, Lilia. I love you, Lilia. You're my bestie friend. And then Lilia kind of realizing, oh, maybe it wasn't a good idea to just leave. Because actually people love me. And then the aftermath is like, Lilia and Malleus are kind of like, they can't be separated from each other for a while to an extent, because like, Malleus can't conduct magic properly anymore because he's missing his horn. And he needs Lilia like right there next to him so that way he can like perform magic again, but it's not as powerful as it was before. He got nerfed. My boy, he got nerfed. That's also why Malleus is here today. You know, he's kind of relevant to the topic. And then it's like, yeah, because the chapter is so long, we got more insight onto some of the characters from the earlier parts of the story. You know, more information about Savannah Claw's experience, because they kind of brushed over Savannah Claw a little bit with the aftermath. We didn't really get much of an idea of how that affected everybody. Because again, like, the early chapters were very short anyway. And I was always thinking, like, you know, just because it's short doesn't mean it was bad. Because, like, Savannah Claw gets a lot of flack for being kind of short. And everybody's like, there wasn't really anything going on here. But it's like, the bigger picture. Just wait. And I was correct. Along with the fact that Leona and Ruggie as characters in general don't really seem like the type to talk too much about their personal turmoils all that often. It takes a while to get their personal issues. They're not the type to just yap about it, but like, we got more information from Jack, that's for sure. Especially because, like, he looked up to Leona and he's like, how could Leona do something so underhanded, despite the fact that that's what Leona does a lot. And then there's also the Octavinelle characters. And I think it's funny just looking... Their chapter was kind of funny, in my opinion, in the sense that, oh, we get more insight to their personalities and how they view each other and how their brains work. I think Jade's was the most entertaining though because he's like he just sees everybody as like silly little creatures. Never doubt an obsessed conspiracy theorist like Abby. She's experienced in twist lore. The thing is, you gotta go deeper with the twist lore. The English version isn't as juicy in my opinion. Especially when it comes to Jamil and Kaleem because they tried so hard to remove the words of like master and servant throughout the before the Scarabia chapter to the point where it's like, yeah, we can't keep doing this anymore. I just found that funny because I do remember playing a little bit of the English version. And now it's like almost every card was trying to like avoid Jamil or Kaleem talking about like a master and servant thing. What's the lore difference? The lore difference is the English version tries to soften everything for some reason. Or because like they don't have all the full context of things, sometimes you get weird little miscommunications. Cause like early on, I remember with the Hearts Labille chapter, Cater makes a point that he doesn't have siblings in the English version, but he has 2 sisters, and I think in Japanese he references that he doesn't have brothers specifically, which is one of those things where it's like, you know, if you didn't have the context that Cater has 2 older sisters, because that's more like a card story detail, I could see why it got translated weird and people are kind of like, wait, but he has sisters. He doesn't have brothers. So you get weird things like that. As well as Azul, like a lot of his backstory involved he was a fat chubby kid. And the English version likes to avoid that word so hard. Like they keep trying to avoid the word fat despite the fact that that was like Azul's main motivation for getting that picture back. Because he's like, I don't want anybody to see this. I am no longer the stupid fat child. So yeah, that's one of the things about the English version that kind of bugs me, because it's like one of those things where there's too many tiny changes, and when you notice all of them, you're just like, this is getting annoying. So yeah, that's my gripe with that. Which brings me back to talking about how Jamil and Kaleem got to finally fight each other. Now they're real friends and not fake friends. Cause part of like their chapters in the Insomnia arc was kind of like showing how Jamil and Kaleem's dynamic was never really that equal or fair in a sense. Because like Jamil, he was never really Kaleem's friend in the sense that he was kind of hired to be his friend. And fear of like, oh, you can't outshine Kaleem, he's from the rich family, you know, you can't be doing that. But Kaleem genuinely thinks they're like friends and that they've been friends. And Kaleem's always like, I want to see the good in everybody, even though I know in the back of my mind that Jamil doesn't really like me. But now it's more like they're more open to the fact that like Jamil is not nice. And he's not gonna do everything for Kaleem anymore, and I think that's fun. How can one play the Japanese version if they aren't in that region on mobile? I have like a app where you can download the Japanese version of apps. It's on Android, I think. Cause I think there's ways to do it for like iPhones, but that's more complicated and stuff like that. But like if you have like some sort of Android phone, you can get the app called Q. Let me look at it because it's spelled funny. But Quo, it's QOO app, and that usually has like a lot of the different region versions of a lot of apps and stuff like that. So I got the Japanese version of Twisted Wonderland on there. What the American dubbers don't understand is that not every master-servant relationship is slavery. Yeah. happen to have Android. Good, then you can get QOO app. You can get more than just Japanese phone apps on there. You can get a lot of different region lock stuff on there. That's how I've been playing it, and I've been going through like translations, like fan translations for a lot of stuff. There's a Tumblr blog called Mystery Shop Translations, and I usually go to that one for the cards. There's a few other translation related blogs on Tumblr, mostly for the card stories, because the main story is a little bit tricky and events are a little bit tricky to find full translations for. They're a little like time sensitive. Mostly events. Events are time sensitive. So those are a little bit harder to find some translations that are actually like not just thrown in Google Translate. I remember there's another person who I go to on Twitter and Tumblr. And they have like some fun comparisons between the English and the Japanese version. As well as they have like this chart of like how many characters have technically cursed in the game, and Leona is always at the top. Leona is like always at the top because he has like the most foul mouth in a sense, where he just does not talk politely most of the time. And it's kind of funny to see. Lilia kind of shot up there a little bit after the Diasomnia chapter, because Lilia, when he was younger, was a completely different person. But anyways, back to refresher of Diasomnia chapter and stuff. We got, I think Riddle's chapter was the most interesting out of all of them because it's the most horror. It's the most horror-esque dream compared to everybody else's flashbacks and dreams and stuff like that. Because everybody else's was more like, oh, what if I was this? Or what if life turned out like this? And that's kind of what Riddle's was as well. Where it's like, what if I had a loving family? But it was so creepy at the same time. Along with the fact that Riddle's mother didn't just traumatize Riddle, it kind of spilled over into Trey. Because I think you do go into Trey's dream before Riddle. If I remember the order correctly. It went, I think it was Deuce, then Cater, then Ace, then Trey. And then last is Riddle. And, yeah. Trey was kind of like, no, do not go into Riddle's house. His mother is crazy. And he's just uncomfortable the entire time because he's like, that's not Miss Roseheart's at all. She was angry all the time. She was horrible. And then this woman is like, oh, Riddle, you brought your friends over. I'll make some nice, healthy snacks for you guys. And Trey's just uncomfortable the entire time. He's like, this is not right. And then everything just becomes like Silent Hill-esque Alice in Wonderland horror type stuff when Riddle starts breaking down. It's very well written. I can't wait for that to be animated, which will take forever to get to, but I thought the only mom we saw was Malice's mom. Yeah, you never see Miss Roseheart's though. That's the thing. You never see her. You only get like a silhouette. And that was from the Heartslip Yell chapter. But then in Riddle's Diasomnia Nightmare chapter, you just kind of like, you only hear her, you never see her. And then Riddle's house is just full of all these family pictures, but all the faces are kind of blurred out except for Riddle's. And it's kind of spooky and unsettling. That'll be a fun chapter to see animated when it gets there. That'll take years, honestly. That's gonna take a while. But it's gonna be great, because it's the most psychological horror-esque chapter out of, like, everything else. Trey's was just kind of interesting. I mean, to be for real, Wonderland is a horror setting in some ways, of course. They'd go with that approach for Miss Rosehearts. Yeah. If Trey was the more wacky kind of interpretation of Wonderland, Riddles was the more horror-inspired take on Wonderland. Trey's dream was kind of odd. If you've seen the orbs, you'll understand what I mean. That was kind of funny. Everybody's just looking at Trey weird after that, like, bro. Are you okay? And then, like, the next chapter later, you find out, like, oh, he's not okay. Miss Rosehearts broke this man. But anyways, that's the Insomnia Chapter 7 refresher. Now on to Crowley-related questions that I have. Such as, will we get more Crowley lore? Will we finally know more about this strange creature? Trey needs a hug. Yes! Yes, he does! He can't solve all of his problems by baking cakes, okay? He just can't. You gotta talk, sir. As well as, has Crowley been working on his own this whole time? And I spelled wrong here. Oopsies. There we go. Has Crowley been working on his own this entire time? Or does he have an underground accomplice? Or some shady network that he's working with? Who knows? But I think he's the one in charge of whatever's going down. We also have, is Crowley a Briar Valley Fae? Because that's where most of the Fae tend to kind of come from in Twisted Wonderland, but there's other places that they could be, as well as some of them have migrated from the Briar Valley to other places. As well as some have come from other places and settled in the Briar Valley. So I'm curious about that, if we ever get that answer for, Crowley. Like, does he have any connection to that region? I personally don't think so. At least not, like, the whole, oh, he's probably Malleus's father. Like, I don't really think that, but he might have some connection to it. Because, again, he has more crow motifs that point to the evil queen. Hello! Welcome back, Lala. Is Crowley overbloated? He always wears a mask. Ooh, that's a good question. I like your question. I've never even thought of that before, but that'd be interesting. But then again, I feel like during his little trip to Styx, they probably would have figured that out. Or they probably don't, because even they don't know everything about Overblood, so who knows? That is an interesting question, though. I like it. We also have, did Crowley commit war crimes too? I say this because what if he's the one that is the reason that Malleus's father is no longer around? What if he's stolen the identity or something? Who knows? Again, I feel like if he had any relation to Malleus, we would have gotten that foreshadowing with Lilia's chapter and or any weird side comments Lilia would have made toward Crowley, but as far as I can tell, he hasn't really made any side comments about Crowley in a way that feels foreshadowy. And neither has Malleus. I have another question. Will we eventually see Crowley hyper-aged to match the Evil Queen inspiration 1-to-1? Have you finished Ignahide yet? Just a question for you. You'll never hide me from Crowley slander. Welcome back, bestie. Did Crowley commit war crimes? More at 11. Also the peeking Crowley, yeah. I have a folder of a bunch of like random little Twisted Wonderland gifts, and I remembered, oh, I have a silly one for Crowley. He's perfect. I'm actually only on chapter 2 or 3. Don't worry, you'll get your Evil Queen hag inspiration eventually. Just not with Crowley. Plus Gun and Sue Malleus. Sue Malleus is relevant to the topic because I was talking about the Diasomnia chapter earlier. Just recapping it a bit. What it say though? I don't know. I have... Why does Crowley have access to illegal transformation potions? Because that was something somebody else brought up. I forgot who it was. But another like YouTuber sort of who talks about Twisted Wonderland also brought up like going back to the beginning, like, wait, why does Crowley have a transformation potion if we found out that those things are very like hard to come across? Like, why does he have essentially illegal potions? Just at the ready at a moment's notice. Like, why do you have that, sir? I feel bad I forgot who mentioned it. I think she's also kind of like a VTuber too. I forgot who you are! I'm sorry! But she brought up an excellent question. Also, my friend got 2 book 7 in Trey's dream. She was so confused. No, in the Peking Crowley one, I don't understand Japanese. I forgot what the translation was. It's probably Crowley related, I forget. Because I usually just find, like, the Tumblr rips of some of these gifs. But yeah, Crowley has access to illegal potions. And, why is that, sir? Why do you have access to illegal potions at a moment's notice? There's just something sketchy about him. Like, why do you have that, sir? Why? I only know 3 VTubers counting you who do TWST, but I don't know if the one you mentioned the other 2 are the ones you mentioned, but you have me curious now. Cause I forgot who it was. But I feel kind of sad. But she brought up like, she was like replaying the game from the beginning for a little bit just because like, you know, it's been a while, you know, we gotta refresh ourselves, and she pointed out like, wait a minute, isn't this stuff like illegal? Don't you, isn't it like highly regulated? Why do you just have this? And why does it turn you into a ghost? Also, I made Bun Jessie and Dumbo in Gotcha Club 2. I put a little too much on Jessie. That's kind of funny. Anyways, I also have a fun let's predict chapter 8 together. Yay! Group activity time! Stuff that we might see answered. Mr. Crowley, we need to cook. Headmaster Crowley. I mean, Jesse is based off of Jessica, so yeah, sexy man. True. This is more of a... What questions will we probably get answered in Chapter 8? Along with the fact that we might have completely different things answered in Chapter 8, because sometimes I feel like, you know, you never know what's gonna happen. Especially because this is no longer very related to the 7 Disney movies in question that the villains are mostly inspired by. So we gotta dig a little deeper. Also, Dumbo kind of looks like a mouse than an elephant. Oops. Oopsies. But that's cute. That is a cute idea, bestie. So I think we'll finally get answers. Will we finally see the plot unravel? Yeah, that's how you spell. Is it Crowley's master plan time? I have a hunch that this will be the last chapter before Grimm's overblot fight. And that this is where he really gonna snap. Ooh, yes! We get closer to eventual overblot. Also, to add to that, will we learn of Grimm's mysterious... I can spell. No, I cannot. Mysterious origins. Because again, they don't even know where Grimm came from. He just kind of shows up alongside us. Which makes me wonder why. Eddie K had to spell elephant. Curse my spelling. L-E-F-A-N-T. There you go. I'll just leave that there for Bestie real quick. But we learn more about Styx and how they've dealt with past overplots. Well, we already know quite a lot about Styx, but I like the second half of that question of will we learn about how they deal with overplots more, because as far as I can tell, they just do the SCP thing of just collect it and then, like, keep it locked up forever. And does Crowley have freaking wings if he's some kind of fae? Ooh. Have you spelled elephant yet? Because I'm gonna... Ooh. I think I'll put that more in the Crowley questions one. Does Crowley have wings? Because he has bird motifs. Does Crowley have wings? I mean, I don't think he has wings in the sense that they're always there, but I think he can have wings in a similar way to, like, Malleus can, like, summon his tail if he wants to. Because that feels very Fae and, like, a very different sort of another way to distinguish Fae from Beastmen. SCP mention. Like, do I have elephant beastmen have the elephant nose or not? That's up to you to decide. Hello, bestie Fabina. We're still yapping. We got time. We got some time, bestie. Don't worry. I swear, if his cape thing has his wings, I'm gonna be so pissed. Nah, his cape ain't his wings. It just looks like wings. But like we have seen him in a different outfit, and he just looks like a dude. Dumbo looks like a mouse. It's the ears, isn't it? That's cute. But yeah, I think if Crowley is some kind of bird-related fae, I feel like he can just summon wings. Kind of like Malleus's tail. Because wait, wait, let me get a picture of Kifaji again. Because he's an actual birdman when it comes to like the beastmen. He's like actually like part bird. And I think he has something on his outfit that kind of looks like a bird tail. I just... And his hair. Let me just give you a reference of what a bird beastman looks like. Here's another question. While we learn more about Crowley's overblock connections. Is Crowley plotting overplots? Over autocorrect. Okay, here's a bird beastman. For context. I was like, we have an example. It's a tiny image. Oh, oops. Don't move that. As we can see here, he has feathers on the top of his head, and he has this feather thing that looks like a bird tail, in my opinion. And I feel like that also separates Fae from Beastmen, because Fae can just hide all that stuff at will. Beastmen, they're just stuck with it. Me when Crowley exists. I'm gonna do that. Dumbo's nose is an elephant's trunk. May take a while in gotcha. Well, Pearl is a bird beastman, so he's stuck with the bird tail then. But like, we do have context. Because again, I think Lilia also is associated with bats. And he just looks like a little vampire thing. And then Malleus talks about like how, you know, he hides his tail, but he keeps his horns anyway because like he's proud of his horns. The only person, or well, Fae in the Sunset Savannah that cared for my boy Leona. Will any other students overblock? That's always fun to think about, but I don't know. That is a fun to think about question, though. Pearl has a feathery tail, but it gets disguised as a coat tail because the feathers will blend. Lilia, a bat, Fae are handsome people. Yeah, and then we have, Sebek's grandfather as an example of, like, what are the crocodile-looking Fae? because Sebek isn't really the best example for a crocodile fae because he's half human and he only has like the eyes. And pointy teeth, and that's about it. He doesn't have any ears or scales. No scales. He is scaleless. What will the Disney theme be this chapter? Ooh, that is a good question. Upon digging into Haunted Mansion research, I feel like that's what Ramshackle's vibe is. So maybe that, because again, like, the first two Halloween events were very Disney Parade Halloween themed, and I think the second version was very Haunted Mansion kind of vibes. Because there was like a whole bunch of ghosts and stuff, so. Also, my friend drew Bun and Jesse after I made them in Gotcha. It was so cute. Oh, that's adorable. That reminds me, we need to redraw Benji sometime. I still don't have his full name. I keep forgetting. My boy. My psychotic genius. The type of person to try and make a USB-powered microwave. But yes, let's see. What other questions will probably get answered? I don't remember telling you what bird Pearl actually is. He is sort of a gray dove that just has poofy feathers and makes him look chunkier than he is. Will Crowley snap this time and literally and metaphorically go full mask off? Ooh. Well, we have his mask off moment. If Crowley is anything like Undertaker, I feel like that'll be happening soon. Because again, he knows more than he lets on. I'm telling you, he knows something. He purposely gives us a phone and then just doesn't answer it while he's on vacation. Also, I saw a post comic that Crocs can smell miles away, and since Sebek can smell very far, it was a comic where it seemed. And Sebek thought they were her until he realized what it was. That's cute. Oh, Sebek. You silly creature. I want Crowley mask off so bad. Another student overblocks well this time too. Because I can't take this no more. I know fan art makes him look hot, but what if his mask keeps him from aging or whatever, like how the evil queen turned herself old and ugly? That is also interesting. I mean, we kind of got that moment for Vil, but will we ever get that for Crowley? That'd be interesting. Because I'm pretty sure the magic mirror in Night Raven College is supposed to be the same one from Snow White. It's just that the mask in it, the being in the mirror looks a little different. Because like if you've seen, let me pull up actually the actual asset. The actual mirror asset real quick. And then the mirror from Snow White, because I think they're supposed to be the same thing. Oopsies, wrong thing. Where is it? Because I'm pretty sure they are the same thing. I've looked at that mirror a bunch of times. And I've seen the one for Snow White. I think the only difference is the coloring. Like the mirror in Twisted Wonderland is all gold. Whereas the one in Snow White is more colorful. Is he undercut in items? No. I don't think so. Will you overblot? If not this next chapter, then sometime later. I fear you doesn't overblot. That's my thought. Because we're magicless to begin with. Is there any Tiana or Pocahontas stuff in Twist? The closest to Princess and the Frog is Sam. Although I don't think we have anything Pocahontas related yet. That'd be fun. If you doesn't have a body or anything in game, OMG, Tiana and Pocahontas. I'll overblot her IRL regardless. The only difference is the black markings on the mirror. Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be the same mirror, because we also have the mirror from Beauty and the Beast. Or at least a version of that mirror in there too. I think he's under gotcha. No, he's not. Oh, wait, no. Have the border of the mirror. Hold on, let me download this image real quick. Let's put it into the art program and take a look at it. And then I just need the one from Snow White. Magic mirror. And the only... Yeah. What is Grim? Grim has the memories we made along the way. Exactly. Well, we learned the ramshackle origin story. Now I want a Beauty and the Beast event. Like, I know we got Vargas, but who cares for Vargas? Same. Well, you can buy a magic mirror. Ooh. I'm distracted by the fact that you can buy the mirror. I want it. But yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. I'm gonna just take this image so I can zoom in on it. But yeah, hold on. Let us switch. Why am I doing that? Let us switch gears. Open. Ah, man, it's one of them unopenable files. Dang it. Let me just... All my homies hate WebP. Anyway, here's our magic mirror here. And where is the image I just... There we go. We take this border right here. I just pulled the asset from the gotcha. Just... That chandelier is pretty. And then... There we go. And as we can see here, this mirror is the same. And Crowley's the one who does all the summoning, so that's why I'm like, he really got ties to the evil queen. Ramshackle origins. I feel like Haunted Mansion at this point. I've done way too much digging into Haunted Mansion for some reason. I feel like if we ever get Ramshackle's origin, it's probably going to be low-key related to one of the Haunted Mansion stories or something. Poor Vargas, bro, just exists and catches strays all day. Vargas just like Gaston for real, for real. Oh, Vargas is to his Gaston. In this house, we throw strays at Vargas. He just be catching so many strays. He's also short, too. He's also like one of the shortest staff members. It's so funny. Even the game be throwing strays at Vargas. Yes, but Vargas isn't bad like Gaston. No. Vargas is the better version of Gaston. But he still be catching strays. At least by me. Haunted Mansion is surprisingly tragic and gruesome. And also goofy and haha. It's really a whiplash experience. What's wrong with being short, Ambi? I am also short. I'd be throwing strays at all the shorties. I am a short creature. I cannot control the size of my smallness. I just find it funny because, like, Gaston's actually kind of, like, you know, tall. And then Vargas is short. True that, we throw hate at Crowley, love at Sam, father figure Tren or Cruel, and then Vargas. Vargas is just there. It's like the gym bro uncle or something. Cruel is like the cool dad, and then Tren is like the stern grandpa or something. Vargas being short is so funny. It's only funny because when you compare him to the character he's inspired by. Because other than that, Vargas is just like, he just exists. He's like the better version of Gaston. But he too gym bro for my liking. But he cares, you know, even though he traumatizes his students during the camping events. So, God forbid a man be shorter than his ancestor. Jeez, I thought you guys were better than this. We lovingly throw jokes at Vargas. He's just fun to punch a little bit. He probably won't mind anyway. More Crowley questions. Because yes. He really does have Snow White connections. That's why I'm still very negative toward the whole Malleus is Crowley's father theories. Cause like, no, I think Malleus's father is supposed to be like the actual Crow from Sleeping Beauty. Not Crow, Raven. Especially because his name is similar to Raven. It's Revern or something. Malleus, when I catch you. Malleus, when I catch you. Malleus, when I catch you. I'd rather have Tren as a father figure because he sounds like a good dad. Bro loves his daughters and misses his late wife. I forgot where, but I think in his card he talks to Lucius about his wife. Yeah, he also brings her up in Glorious Masquerade, where he's talking about like, I remember me and my wife visited here when we were young. And it's just so wholesome. Vargas is uncle figure, not father figure. Exactly. He's the kind of uncle that be like, oh, your parents won't let you do this? Well, cool. Let's do it anyway, and like traumatizes the child in the process. It's like, I told you he wasn't ready for roller coasters yet. What is wrong with you? He's the crazy uncle. And I'm looking at this mirror again. Let me just... There's like zodiac signs around it too, now that I'm actually looking at this image. That's actually interesting. Wow. Please give us 2D animation back. This is beautiful stuff, man. How am I just noticing the details? That there's zodiac signs around the magic mirror. I don't even think most other, like, reproductions of this scene have this, because it's usually just the mirror. Is his name spelled Tren or Trin? I think it's the second version. So, what would Crowley be? Fresh out of jail, uncle? We disowned Crowley. He's the family member that's uninvited from the family reunions. He's been running from the law one too many times. And honestly, I do have a feeling that that's part of his character. Because he's done some shady dealings. He just let Azul run a cafe in the school grounds, despite the fact that he tried to get him to not do that, but it's like, oh, well, money. We need the money. And then Scarabia's entire renovation was because he managed to convince, Kalim's father to let Kalim enroll in Night Raven College, and he's like, you can even renovate this entire dorm. Just so that way your son can attend our school instead. Okay, so Sam, the fun uncle, Tren, the grandfather, Vargas, the weird gym uncle, and then Crowell, the dad. And then Crowley's just there. It's like that weird family member that nobody knows exactly why he's here. But he's been arrested one too many times. For various fraud schemes or something. That is the vibe I get from Crowley. Like, he's up to no good. He's plotting something. I can feel it in my bones. He is plotting something. we have some good predictions and questions. Yes. I guess to wrap up a little bit. Will we finally see the plot unravel? Is Crowley the master plan? Is this Crowley's master plan? Is Crowley the one plotting the overblocks? Is he the one scheming? Is he the reason for Grimm's existence, pretty much? Will we finally get to Grimm's overblot, or will we get to the lead up to Grimm's overblot? Will we learn of Grimm's mysterious origins? And will we finally have Crowley's mask off moment in this chapter? Because for all we know, we could be building the building blocks for this part. Although I do want more lore in the sense of like, how does everything still work around here? More Night Raven College's history, maybe a little bit of information about some of the past dorms that no longer exist. Let me write that down, actually. We get information on previous dorms. I know how to spell. Because I'm curious, because I know development-wise, there was a lot of dorms planned. There was like 13, and it was cut down to 7. And I feel like the Frollo inspired dorm probably got reused for Noble Bell College for the Glorious Masquerade event. I feel like that could have been one of the potential dorms for Night Raven College, and then it just got cut to be something smaller. And then reused later for Halloween events. I'm gonna fight Malleus. He called me princess. Excuse me, I am a king. Guys, please believe me. I'm actually very humble. I swear I don't have a huge ego trust. Crowley is Crowley, and we love to hate him. Indeed. When I first met you, I thought you were weird and annoying. And you are. Oh, that also reminds me. What is the ghost camera for? I am reminded of the existence of the ghost camera Crowley gives us. It's like, what exactly is the purpose of this besides taking the photos for, like, events and stuff? Like, what was the purpose of that item? I feel like we got it and then we just forgot about its existence for, like, ever. Because it's that Mickey-shaped camera. And the whole gimmick of it is, oh, you can take a picture and it produces like a magical little moving picture. It has Mickey ears though. Yeah, exactly. It's like, what is the point of this camera again? I'm reminded of the camera's existence. Wait, let me pull up the image. What is this camera for? Why do we have this camera? Why can't I see this image? Why is it like all the way over there? Hold on. Why isn't this working anymore? We'll just recenter this. For some reason that's screwing everything up. It doesn't want to open normally. I don't know why. Anyways. What was this for? What was this camera for? So Crowley knows about Mickey. He probably does! Bye, bestie! Yeah, Crowley probably does have information about him or something, cause like, why do we have this? Why do we have this camera? What is the purpose of it again? Besides taking the pictures and they like do like, ooh, cute magic little things, you know? Along with the fact that it's an old piece of technology too, in context. Like, people don't use these anymore. But there's gotta be some sort of purpose. What is the purpose? He's up to something. Is there a reason why nobody uses those things anymore? But, I think that about wraps it up with my Crowley questions. And, what the purpose is for some of these things. I kind of want answers for the... Let me just get rid of this real quick. I want answers for the Crowley thing. For the ghost camera. Cause, like, why? Why did we need it again? Have we been taking pictures using it? Is that the context for the event images and the cards in the game in general? Was that just there for that? And it has no other purpose? Or is there more to it, you know? There's gotta be more to it. Probably. I think there is. Along with more information about overblots as well. I don't even think Styx knows everything about overblots. And their whole purpose in life is to understand overblots. That's like their main thing. They have a tech company as like a cover-up for their actual, like, we're supposed to be trying to figure out why overblots exist. And like stuff like that. So yeah. Anyways, tomorrow we're back to drawing. We're going back to the model. Work in progress. Yes. I need to figure out how to draw again. We'll be working on the next outfit. And that's about it. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Bye-bye. Okay, that was... Bye-bye. Jade having beef with a child is funny, okay? It feels very Jade.